You are welcome to Make Ready for Jesus, the channel that will prepare you for the judgment and harvest of the Lord. Today we will be looking at the functions of the Church of Pergamos, the third golden candlestick in the book of Revelation. We shall also be identifying the members of this church in the world, their code of conduct. These are the keys of this church, as well as its rewards at the Lord's coming, and much more. But first let us answer some questions based on our last video, which was about Smyrna, the executive and administrative branch of God. These are the self-contradictory promises of Jesus to members of the Church of Smyrna. We might learn a lesson or two here.
What does Jesus mean when he said in Revelation 2:9, "I know thy works, and tribulation, and poverty, but thou art rich"? He means those who serve honestly in executive or administrative positions are seldom rich materially. This is because in protecting the well-being of the weak and vulnerable in the organization in which one is serving, he comes in direct conflict with the interest of the mighty and the top hierarchy of the organization. Consequently, one is labeled as a non-team player or even as antagonistic to the management. The result may be denial of benefits, or one may even be shown the gate. This results in poverty. But a denial on earth, based on any good done to mankind, is followed by a 100-fold reward in the book of God in heaven. This multiplication of one's reward to compensate for the earthly loss on account of serving God at the workplace is what Jesus phrased as "I know thy works, and tribulation, and poverty, but thou art rich.
And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews, and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan."
Those who are Jews abide by the code of conduct of this church as the first and the last. Because by doing this, we serve the interests and needs of God, to carry the rich and the poor in our duties as leaders, in good times and bad times. God enacted the code: I am the first to make a leader or president the first citizen of that country, and puts all resources at his disposal. But by the same code he is the last citizen. This makes him aware of his obligations to the oppressed, the weak and the needy, for he is one of them and under his care and protection. Abraham Lincoln served as the first and the last, for the rich and the mighty as well as for the poor and the downtrodden like the slaves. Through this, slavery was abolished in America. He later lost his life in the process. But the promise is Revelation 2:10, "Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days, be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life." 11 He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. He that overcometh shall not be hurt of the second death. Therefore, Abraham Lincoln's faithfulness to God unto death will be rewarded with a crown of life, and he shall not be hurt by the second death.
We are now ready for Pergamos, the third golden candlestick in the book of Revelation. What does it stand for in reality? That is, what does it mean in our day-to-day life? How can we identify it? What are its keys, the code of conduct of this church? In trying to identify this church in the organizational structures of humans, we will be making use of the following. 1. The reference to a head angel. This means that this branch of God, like all the others, has a head, who is an angel. 2. The references of Jesus Christ. These will give us the codes of this church. It is from this code of conduct that we shall decode the functions and identity of this church.
The keys for identifying Pergamos, the judicial branch of God. 1. And to the angel of the church in Pergamos write, this reference means the head angel of this church is tasked with addressing the shortcomings in this branch of God. 2. He which hath a sharp sword with 2 edges. This is the code of this church. The 2-edged sword. Where can we find the 2-edged sword in human organizations as a symbol? It is in the scales of justice.
Let us look more closely at the 2-edged sword. The forward portion of the sword's blade is meant for the recipient of justice, while the backward portion of the blade is meant for the person meting out justice, in this case the judge. If justice is given out fairly without bias or prejudice, the judge receives a fair reward from the sword of justice. But if he gives a bad judgment, the sword of justice rewards him or her in like manner, with retributive justice. If the earthly authorities and the gods do not take action against the judge, The watchers of the watchtower of God make an entry against the judge in the book of God for execution on the Lord's day. Likewise, the victim is compensated in the records of God. There are just too many formidable backups behind the scenes to compensate for human failings in the administration of justice. Be wise therefore to judge as God has commanded us to. Deuteronomy 5:32 Ye shall observe to do therefore as the Lord your God hath commanded you, ye shall not turn aside to the right hand or to the left. The principles of justice for everyone is summed up in the following statutes. Leviticus 19:35 Ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment, in meat yard, in weight, or in measure. 36 Just balances, just weights, a just ephah, and a just hin, shall ye have. I am the Lord your God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt. 37 Therefore shall ye observe all my statutes, and all my judgments, and do them. I am the Lord. Leviticus 18 For ye shall do my judgments, and keep mine ordinances, to walk therein. I am the Lord your God. 5 Ye shall therefore keep my statutes, and my judgments, which if a man do, he shall live in them. I am the Lord.
It is on the basis of this that God laid out principles for appointing judges. Deuteronomy 1:13 Take you wise men, and understanding, and known among your tribes, and I will make them rulers over you. 15 So I took the chief of your tribes, wise men, and known, and made them heads over you, captains over thousands, and captains over hundreds, and captains over fifties, and captains over tens, and officers among your tribes. Deuteronomy 1:16 And I charged your judges, saying hear the causes between your brethren, and judge righteously between every man and his brother, and the stranger that is with him. 17 Ye shall not respect persons in judgment, but ye shall hear the small as well as the great. Ye shall not be afraid of the face of man, for the judgment is God's, and the cause that is too hard for you, bring it unto me, and I will hear it. 18 And I commanded you at that time all the things which ye should do.
Deuteronomy 19:18 And the judges shall make diligent inquisition, and, behold, if the witness be a false witness, and hath testified falsely against his brother, 19 Then shall ye do unto him, as he had thought to have done unto his brother, so shalt thou put the evil away from among you. Deuteronomy 19:20 And those which remain shall hear, and fear, and shall henceforth commit no more any such evil among you. 21 And thine eye shall not pity, but life shall go for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot. God modified this ordinance of the administration of justice to make way for forgiveness on account of repentance. Matthew 26:26 And as they were eating, Jesus took bread, and blessed it, and brake it, and gave it to the disciples, and said, Take, eat, this is my body. 27 And he took the cup, and gave thanks, and gave it to them, saying, Drink ye all of it. 28 For this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remission of sins. But this law also makes one guilty of a crime he or she has conceived in the heart or has planned to execute. If one conceives a plan to carry out any evil, one is guilty of the crime even if one has not executed it. Our hearts then become a battleground for entities who wish to make us liable for crimes they could not enforce us to execute in the physical realm. This is why Jesus talked about Balaam, who taught Balak to cast a stumbling block before the children of Israel, and also them that hold the doctrine of the Nicolaitans. But first let us hear his commendation of this church. Revelation 2:13 I know thy works, and where thou dwellest, even where Satan's seat is, and thou holdest fast my name, and hast not denied my faith, even in those days wherein Antipas was my faithful martyr, who was slain among you, where Satan dwelleth. Then here comes the weakness of this church, the judicial arm of God at the level of the gods, for they are the backup of the earth's judicial system, with a foolproof and better instruments of judicial administration. His reprimand of this church. Revelation 2:14 But I have a few things against thee, because thou hast there them that hold the doctrine of Balaam, who taught Balak to cast a stumbling block before the children of Israel, to eat things sacrificed unto idols, and to commit fornication. 15 So hast thou also them that hold the doctrine of the Nicolaitans, which thing I hate. 16 Repent, or else I will come unto thee quickly, and will fight against them with the sword of my mouth. 17 He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. Jesus mentioned Balak, the king of Moab, and Balaam, a priest of God. Let us find out what Balak and Balaam stand for. Like the Father Almighty, Jesus is using historical figures to tell a bigger story of spiritual significance. Balak and Balaam are codes in human husbandry. To help us understand the level from which Balak and Balaam are operating from, let us look at the 4 levels of judicial administration on earth. The first level is the earth, the level of humans. When a case is not fairly judged on earth, the case moves to the next court, the court of the gods. All the officials who twisted the case on earth, as well as the genuinely guilty, are summoned before the superior court, the court of the gods, as the accused. They may not be aware of it, or may recall it as dreams. Here a video showing the intent and the event in details is available. So, lying, concealing or withholding information is not possible. Whatever verdict is reached is imputed as their karma, which they have to face either in this life or in the future. We will be going into the Old Testament to find out what the duo, Balak and Balaam, stand for. In Numbers 23 and 24, Balak the king of Moab had summoned Balaam to curse the Israelites for a fee. This is because anyone that Balaam had cursed remained cursed, and anyone he had blessed remained blessed. But Balaam did not curse Israel. More so, an angel of the Lord had appeared to Balaam and intervened on behalf of God. The fact that Balaam knows and talks to God means Balaam is a servant of God. But so too is the king of Moab, although he does not recognize God as his master. In the same vein, the judges at the level of the gods, the spiritual high court of humans, or even beyond at the level of angels, may use the power of God to curse Israel, the called and the chosen, for a few from those who are willing to pay for their services. Thus, for a good act one may be cursed, or for evil deeds one may be blessed, contrary to the guidelines on human husbandry. If the power of God is used contrary to God's guidelines, it is sorcery, no matter who is involved. Here Israel is the code for the children of God and those called by God irrespective of race. This is the reason why the wicked prosper, while the righteous are punished. Isaiah 59:14 And judgment is turned away backward, and justice standeth afar off, for truth is fallen in the street, and equity cannot enter. 15 Yea, truth faileth, and he that departeth from evil maketh himself a prey, and the Lord saw it, and it displeased him that there was no judgment.
And judgment is turned away backward, and justice standeth afar off, means that the gods use time intervals of between 5 and 10 years or more, to review evil persons stay on earth. This implies that people who commit heinous crimes such as serial killers or very serious looters of their country's treasuries may go unpunished for years. The duty of the court of the gods is to handle cases beyond the capacities of the earth's judicial system, country by country basis, and by geographical regions. Thus, they are the ones to kill off by spiritual means, thieves or killers that are too powerful or too smart for the earth's judiciary in a country or by regional basis. They fail to do this because they have compromised their ways by pre-selecting leaders into a pool from which people then select or vote for. These leaders may not only be unfit for office but are sure to do harm to their communities. We shall in future make videos on the human development scale of God. This will show God's arrangement for the progressive growth of an individual from a layman to a leader of tens, and upward to the level of a crowned judge, that is, an anointed king and beyond. The third hierarchy of justice are the angels. They are higher than the gods. Even if they become a sellout, you still have the watchers, and then the throne of God as the supreme and incorruptible court of God. This is the fourth and highest court and presided over by God. No human nor group of humans, or the gods or the angels can twist any wrongdoing indefinitely. Justice is sure at the end when God standardizes all judgments. The looters over the ages are rewarded for their evil. And the cheated are rewarded justly. The doctrine of the Nicolaitans simply refers to the occult, the mystery schools and the witchcraft covens. They profess God based on false knowledge. They practice sorcery claiming it to be spirituality. Any practice contrary to the precepts of God is sorcery, even if it is practiced by a God-chosen servant as King Saul did is sorcery. The high level of divorces worldwide means the gods are mismatching humans. Christians who do not follow the commandments of God but profess God and live in sin are also Nicolaitans. Unfortunately, it is the gods who promote the occult, the mystery schools and the witchcraft covens as an interface between them and humans. This is why most politicians belong to these bodies. There is no standing law nor guidelines on human husbandry that spells out such practices. You should not comply to demands from the gods to belong to their organizations as a condition to serve God or to prosper. Neither does God demand such from you. God's reward to Pergamos, his judicial branch of service. Revelation 2:17 To him that overcometh will I give to eat of the hidden manna, and will give him a white stone, and in the stone a new name written, which no man knoweth saving he that receiveth it. We are committed to providing you with every relevant information for living a purposeful and happy life, devoid of fear and of the unknown. Every information that will help you be in good standing with God will be provided in this channel. Subscribe to our channel and tell others about us. Thanks for watching. God bless you.